Hi everybody, this is Peggy for Cropstop.com, and today I want to show you how I made this really cute card using some of my favorite things. And well, I just want to get started telling you what we're going to be using. Let me put this to the side. I guess right there's good. One of the things we're going to use are all these different distress inks. I love these because they're so versatile and you can do so many things with them. So I got 5 different colors there. We're going to use our little spritzer that you can, instead of a big water bottle, because this just puts out a little mist, and that's what I want to use. I'm going to use some of Claudine Helmuth's medium, matte medium. They call it multi-medium, but I just call it matte medium. Show you how I'm going to use that. Then this is one of my favorite little tools. Maybe the camera really can't see what it says. It's the Fiskars, and it's to put stamps. When you have your cling-free, that's something for your dryer. Your cling stamps and your rubber stamps that have a matting on it to get a good impression, and you always have to use your little mat, so we're going to use that, and we're going to bring in the big girl. We're going to use her tonight. So, let's get started. Now the first thing I did is I went and I used cereal boxes and cracker boxes all the time and cut out some little shapes here. And I know, I hope there aren't any book lovers out there that are going to hate me, but I bought this like for $1, and I tear out pages and use these for my decorations, so I hope I don't offend any book lovers out there. So I tore out a page, and then what I do is I take a little bit of this matte medium. It's awesome for gluing, and I just rub it. You want to make sure that you get it all the way to the edges to make sure that your page is going to stick on there. It doesn't have to be really thick, but you want to make sure you get clear to the edges like so. There we go. And I've got my little wipey right here so I can wipe my fingers. And then I just stick it on there and just rub it down. And then I like to put a little bit on the top. Now I do that because then this medium will act like a resist, which is pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to let that dry a second, put my lid back on. Let me go over and hit this with my heat gun, and I'll be right back. Alright, we're just about dry here. Now the other thing you want to make sure when you're using your heat tool is that you have a surface, oh I bubbled that, not paying attention, a surface underneath there. So I use my craft mat. I talk about that all the time. If you don't have one of these little jobs, you need to get it. You can do so many things on there and it saves your surface. Alright, I think that should be just fine. Let's just turn her over here. Now I did kind of melt that a little bit too much right there, but you know what, that just adds a little bit of texture. And then here's what I did. Let me grab my punch. Because I used this punch in the beginning, then I just slide it back underneath there. I might have to tear a little bit more of that paper off. Let's try this end. Yeah, that'll work. So that I can get it down to match the little scallops as close as possible. Well, really, it does work. There we go. Oh, my goodness. Alrighty. So now I have my little scalloped again. Now, some folks, if you just use a circle, you can just trim it off with scissors, but I kind of wanted to do the little scalloped edge because of my little rosette that I used there. Now, I don't know if you remember or not, but if you can check back in the videos at Cropstop, I did the Tim Holtz, this is his little rosette flower, and it is so simple to make. So check out that video and you'll see how I did that part. So let's set that back over. Then here's the fun part. We're going to bring in some of our inks, and I kind of start wherever I want to. There's a rule they say about starting with a light color. This is one of my favorites, the Wild Honey. So let me just ink up my applicator here. I like to use a lot. Now normally I would tell you to start at the edge and move in, but because I don't want to rip the paper, I just kind of blop it right down on top because I do want my edges to be a little darker. So I just kind of blop it. I have all these technical terms. Alright, there's that. Can you kind of see, I don't know if the camera can focus in on right there where my ink is a little bit lighter. That's where I use that matte medium, and it just acts as a resist to the ink. I don't know if you can really see it on camera, but it is a pretty cool effect. So we used a little bit of the Wild Honey, so we'll scooch that away. And this is one of my other, oh, I know you guys get tired of me saying this is my favorite, but you'll see I use these same colors over and over. And I have them all, of course, but don't tell Steve, even though he knows. Alright, so let's put, I really like the blue. And I kind of go over the color ahead of it. I don't know if you can tell or not. This blue obviously turned the honey a little bit greenish, and I really like that contrast. Oh, you're really going to be seeing a lot of the resist in this area, so you can still see the words. Hey, it kind of looks like a horse's head there. I didn't do that on purpose, but you got to have an imagination. So there's my blue. Now let me just put a little bit of green on there. Oops, I'm dropping things here. Yeah, there we go. This is how I really work. I throw things around, then when I get done, I get them all cleaned up. So let's put some green right in there. Oh yeah, I like those colors. Now, I don't know if you noticed, you're really not going to see all of this because my rosette actually took up a little more space than I thought it would, but it's going to work just fine. And then I like to mist it because that kind of makes them blend a little. Not a lot, just a teeny bit. So we'll let that dry a bit. Let me bring in my heat tool here and dry that up a little. Kind of moves the inks around a little bit too. And again, you don't want to get real close because then you'll get bubbles if you do that. You don't want to do that. So we'll dry this up a bit. And again, you see I'm using my craft mat so I don't have to worry about popping my countertop. Alright, I think that'll be fine by the time we get to it. So there you are. Isn't that just too stinking cool? Oh, I just love those colors. Alright, let's lay the... Oh, I forgot I want to do one more thing. Now, you can also do pad to paper, and I like to add a little more rustic to the edges of it. Now, you might be asking, why did I go to all the trouble of putting the paper using the matte medium onto the chipboard? If I did just the paper, let me reach over here and grab a hunk. It will tear really easily, and I'm not doing it just to joke around, just to show you. It doesn't hold well. Do you see how it's just not, it just doesn't like to be done by itself. I mean, you can do it, but the chipboard just gives it that extra thickness and stability. Oh, that's a big word, stability. Okay, so that's that story. Then the other thing I did on the back, I just took a little bit of my, what color did I use? I think I used this one. A little bit of this vintage photo. And I just did my paper just so it matched. And you see, you just want, on this one, you want to start a little off and come into the center of your paper. And then, see, that's going to give you that nice edge right there, a little bit darker, and it fades in. So it just gives that dimension to your card when you do it that way. Alright. Then I'll bring my card back in to show you then what I did off camera. I'm not going to do this for you all because I'm sure you all can handle that without me. I have a little Janome sewing machine, and I just love it, and I did all this little zigzag, and it just adds character to the card. So that's another little effect that you can do. You can also do faux stitching where you can just use your marker and do some stitching on there. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. There is my finished part there. The other thing I want to show you is how you do this ribbon now, because then I want to stamp for you. There is a thing called a Naomi knot. Now you could, let me bring this in. This is how I tied it. I poked a hole in here and put my strings through it and tied my bow. I want to just show you that because it is the coolest effect. You put the hole where you want your finished bow to be. This is real quick, Steve, I promise. And I got way too much ribbon here. You put your ribbon around, bring it to the back. Boy, I got a lot of ribbon. That's all right, we'll figure it out. Put both of your ends together and thread them. Whoops. I got to cut some of this. This is just way too much. There. That's much easier to work with. You're going to take both ends and stick them back through the hole. And some people have told me that, and I've used it, that they use that dental floss that you can get that has like a little loop on it. So, this is what your ribbon ends up looking like so far. And see how nice that is on the inside of your card if that were to show. You don't want to have to tape the edges, and then it just gives you a nice finished look there. So once you get them over to the front of your card, put one on top and one on bottom, and then you can tie a knot, you can tie a bow. This one we'll just tie a knot for time purposes. And then of course I'll finish this card. I'll do something with it later because you know I won't want to waste anything. So that, I call it the Naomi knot. There's somebody out there that I got the technique from. I can't remember her name, so I've always just called it the Naomi knot. So let's stamp this card real quick so I can show you how to use the mat. These aren't very expensive, and they are worth their weight in gold because you're going to get a good impression with your ink pad. And I just absolutely hate it when you use you get your whole design done, everything's on there, and you go to stamp it, and it messes up. Oh, that just drives me crazy. So I started using the Fiskars. I don't know what they call this thing. Fiskars stamp thing. And it works really great every time using the foam mat underneath there. Let me just show you. These help you so that you can see where you're stamping. I hope I don't get my head in there, Steve. Holler at me if I do. I can't tell if that's straight. I think that's straight. The other good thing is that it has grid lines on here, so I can kind of make sure if I have my stamp on there straight, then my stamped image should be good. And then all you do is press down. I run my finger across and bring it up. Voila! Perfect every time. I think of you often, I miss you even more. Isn't that just the coolest little saying? So I think that's everything I can show you. Don't forget you want to stop over at Cropstop.com and get yourself some distress inks. There are so many colors, and you know, they'll be coming out with more, so I'll have more favorites, I'm sure. So get yourself some of this matte medium. You can use this to glue a major stuff. Look, there's going to be another cool card. I think I might put a smaller flower on that one. Then you'll see more of it. All right, that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you go out there and get yourself some of these really cool tools. You have a good night now. Bye.